Welcome back, guys, to the Andrei podcast. Okay, so guys, listen. So what I want to discuss today is something that became really popular on social media, and I saw a lot of even podcasts or just like TV stations talk about it. Like Piers Morgan talked about it a lot on his show, podcast, whatever you call it. Joe Rogan recently, when he did a podcast with the three of his friends, Shane Gillis and two other guys, they also talked about it, and it's just something that became really popular in our modern day culture, especially more like, I feel like it's recently, 2026. And it's the term Looksmaxxing. That is the term, it's Looksmaxxing. Now I dived more into it. I also talked about it a little bit, like it or not. I mean, fucking you see it on social media all the time with my friends, even with the Andrei and David Carrasco. We talked about it quickly. And it's something that's really popular nowadays. And when I dived more into it, that is when I got more of, let's say, my opinion regarding it and how I understood it a bit more what it actually is. So there is Looksmaxxing, the crazy version of Looksmaxxing, and there's also just being the best version of yourself in all spheres of life, not just physical looks. If they intertwine, then I guess it's not that bad, but if it's the extreme version that clavicular portrays, that is what I'm a bit against. I mean, it's not only clavicular, right? From what I saw, what I learned, it's like a forum that exists even for not only this year or last year, it's been existing since like social media exists. Just the only difference is, but before it was really like a small community. No one talked about it. No one really knew about it except for a few people here and there. So that's why no one heard about it in the vast majority of it. Me and my friends, we never heard about it. Maybe because we only cared about soccer and like music and other things that, the vast majority of people cared about. But it's actually something that existed since like the beginning of the 2010s, the Looksmaxxing community. It's something that existed ever since social media practically exists. It's just at that time, I guess no one really gave a fuck, or maybe it never really exploded or whatever it may be. But now in 2026, 2025, everyone knows the term. Fucking even Piers Morgan knows about it. Joe Rogan knows about it. I'm even sure like Donald Trump, an 80-year-old guy, knows about it because like or not, you fucking hear it just by scrolling on your page, whatever, you hear about it at least once or twice, and then just the term Looksmaxxing will catch your attention. So it's something that existed since the beginning of social media. The way clavicular portrays it, he goes to the extreme. And that is what I am against. I mean, it's a bit fucked up what he does. Let's be fucking honest. Like, I watched this podcast with Jack Neal. He did many other podcasts. I mean, I don't want to like, kudos to him. He made a lot of money. He has a big following. Kudos to him. But it's not really a type of content I consume because he doesn't really have a personality and it's really fucking boring listening to him. But I did watch the episode with Jack Neal. He has a podcaster, because I wanted to learn more what he has to say. And when he goes to the extremes, like the philosophy behind the Looksmaxxing idea makes sense. Like it's logical, right? Be in the best shape of your life. They also talk about status, get the best status symbol you can, make as much money as you can. They're talking about also in general how there's a lot of competition between men in the modern day time, and especially in the dating scene, and that you must maximize every sphere of your life so you have the best chances of finding the best woman for you to then marry and have kids with and whatever else, right? That is in general what they also talk about a lot. So of course, I'm all for everyone becoming the best versions of themselves. I'm all for it. But when you go to the extremes and certain things that matter but don't matter the most, like let's say physical looks, taking crystal meth so you stay lean, that's first of all laziness, poor strength, poor will. Because if you want to be lean, right? Cristiano Ronaldo is lean as fuck, right? He's fucking lean as hell. You can't be more lean than that guy. And he's 100% natural. The only difference between him and, let's say, a guy like Clavicular is Ronaldo doesn't drink alcohol every single day because he goes to the nightclub. He doesn't eat whatever he wants. He works out a fucking lot. He watches his diet, and he's really, really disciplined when it comes to his diet and his fitness regime and program. Cristiano Ronaldo. And that's why he's that lean naturally. And just the fact that we know that he is natural is he's a professional soccer player ever since he's like 17 years old, 18 years old. And when you're a professional soccer player, you can't take PEDs. You're not allowed to take PEDs. You cannot take nothing. You cannot take no steroids. You're going to get caught just like Paul Pogba. the phenomenal player he was, he got caught taking, I'm not sure exactly what he took, but he took roids, he took PEDs. And because of that, he had like a 3-year ban where he couldn't play professional soccer anymore. And he was like one of the greatest midfielders in his prime. He had like a multi-million-dollar contract at Juventus, at Man United. He played for France. He won the World Cup with France whilst being one of their best players, him and Mbappe. But he got caught taking something illegal. And then what happened is he got a 3-year ban. And the way he got caught is because he got tested. So Ronaldo probably already got tested maybe multiple times. I don't know about it. But one thing's for sure is that Ronaldo is naturally lean in that shape. And it's because he's disciplined and he has a strong willpower. So again, I talked about many times how taking roids and PEDs, yes, they do have pros. I mean, you get in better shape, your muscles become stronger, you become quicker, you jump higher, whatever. Physically, you become more of a specimen than someone who doesn't take PEDs, which is just fucking logical. But still, even though those are the pros, if you look at the grand picture, if you look at the grand picture of it taking PEDs, there's way more cons than pros. Meaning, yes, for that short period of time where you do have a professional career, you will be fat. This is also if you don't get caught. High chances of you getting caught. But if, let's say you never get caught, yes, you will be leaner. You will have more muscle mass, less body fat, jump higher, run faster, run longer, hit the ball stronger, be stronger in the pitch. You'll be physically more of a specimen. That is the pro, right? For a short period of time. What happens is when you take certain PEDs, which is extra testosterone, your body naturally produces less testosterone because you're injecting your body with synthetic testosterone, with more testosterone. So your body naturally says, well, I don't need to produce any testosterone because you're injecting me with testosterone. So once you get out of it, you get off of taking PEDs or steroids. Of course, it's to certain degrees. If you only took PEDs or roids once, nothing's really going to happen. If you only took it once and then you stopped and you never took it again in your life, of course, probably nothing's ever going to happen. It's like taking cocaine. If someone only took cocaine once in his lifetime, I mean, nothing's going to fucking happen. There's basically going to be no difference between someone who only took cocaine once and someone who never took cocaine in his life. I mean, if we're going precisely, of course, there's going to be like a precise little fucking difference. But at the end, there's no difference, right? So I'm talking about people who take roids or PEDs for a long period of time. The same goes for, so if roids have a negative aspects to it, like less testosterone, it fucks up your liver, it fucks up so many organs in your body. I'm not sure exactly which ones, but I do know one thing for sure is that it fucks up so many organs in your bodies only for you to become leaner and in better shape for a short period of time, because you cannot take roids and PEDs for the rest of your life, right? Your heart is going to fucking fail and you're going to die young. That's a fact. It happens to so many people like Rich Piana, the other guy, Joe Aesthetics, was that his name? Joe Aesthetics, yeah, the German guy with a German accent. He died like maybe a year ago or whatever. He always kept saying how he was natural, but then we figured out once he died is that he was fucking abusing supplements, and that is why his heart failed him. So there's way more cons. And those are roids. You know what's even worse than roids? Taking crystal fucking meth, bro. There's no pros to taking crystal meth. Do you understand how fucked up of a drug crystal meth is? Yes, it cuts your appetite. Yes, of course it does. It's fucking crystal meth. Yes, you won't eat, and yes, you will be leaner. That is a fact. That is a fact. But you're destroying every single part of your body, from your hair to your fucking toenails and everything in between. You're literally destroying every single part of your body. There's not one single thing that meth is good for you. There's not one thing. Roids, you know what? It's a bit more logical. You wanna compete as in a bodybuilding show. You have high high ambitions in being a bodybuilder, being the fucking leanest guy on earth, being sebum. Then of course, in a way, it makes sense. But taking crystal meth is just completely insane. And that is what I am against. And then they also talk about, let's say, the Looksmaxxing community, what clavicular also goes in the extremes. It's mostly him taking a lot of fucking drugs. I mean, I just saw recently that he overdosed. I mean, he's all good now, but he did overdose, and he's 20 years old, and he's already infertile. You know, do you understand how fucked up that is? When you're 20 years, I'm 25. If I was to be infertile at 25 for whatever reason, because I abused a substance too much, 25 is really, really, really fucking young, like extremely young to be infertile. It's really fucking young. It's crazy. But to become infertile at 20, because ever since you're like 13, 14, you started abusing drugs in order for you to become leaner and look better. That is a fucking crazy. I mean, I feel bad for him. I feel it's kind of sad, if I'm being honest. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're 20 years old. I mean, I was 20 years old 5 years ago. Even now, I feel so fucking young. At 20, I felt like a fucking baby. I mean, at 20 years old, you can't even have any kids. I mean, of course, I understand like you wanting to be lean, but how about simply, I mean, having a strong willpower and not eating, not drinking so much alcohol, going to the gym and then calculating how many calories you spend, how many calories you eat, what are your macronutrients? Did you eat enough protein? Did you eat enough essential fats? Did you eat enough complex carbs? Just like, and if I'm being honest, you shouldn't be obsessed about it, in my opinion, unless, let's say, you have a fucking movie scene coming up, like, let's say, Brad Pitt in Fight Club, like, right, the body he had in that movie, his motivation is a bit different than someone who works a 9 to 5, right? Someone literally told Brad Pitt, listen, you're going to have a movie deal, you're going to make $20 million, and you have to be in crazy shape for those few months where we will shoot that movie. Are you up for it? Well, yeah, fucking yes, I am up for it. Yes, I'm going to suffer a lot with working out and eating healthy, but I'm going to receive $20 million fucking dollars. Like, it's really fucking fair, right? And plus, it will make his career go forward, even more fame and even more status as a Hollywood actor. So it's all pros for him reaching that body fat percentage and reaching that body for that for that short period of time where he will be shooting that movie. But when he's not shooting a movie, when he's not getting ready for a role, I can guarantee you he's not in the same shape as he is when he is shooting a movie and when he is shooting a role, because it's different, right? It goes the same. Like, let's not take Ronaldo as an example, because Ronaldo is like out of all soccer players, he's like the peak of when it comes to self-discipline, working out, being in shape. He's like peak. But all other professional soccer players, and I'm talking about the best, Marcus Rat, players who play in the EPL, players who play in La Liga, Ligue 1 from France, Bundesliga and Serie A, the 5 best leagues in the world. Every single pro player who has a contract in one of those 5 leagues, they are multi-millionaires. Every single one of them. There's 20 teams in EPL, 20 teams in La Liga, 20 teams in Serie A, Ligue 1 and Bundesliga. And out of those 20 teams, every team has, let's say, 30 players, roughly. So let's say 20 times 30. So there's 600 EPL players, professional players with a contract playing in the English league. And every single one of them, out of those 600 players, they all make more than millions of dollars per year. And even them, when they have their season, their regular season, of course, they are in the best shape of their lives because they have to perform. They're getting paid millions to perform at the best of their capabilities as a professional soccer player, a professional athlete. But when they get 1 month or 2 months off to go on vacation, have fun with their family and friends, most of them get out of shape. Why? Because they're not in season. They want to have more fun. They want to drink more alcohol. They want to have a less strict diet. They want to eat cake. They want to eat pizza. They want to eat sugar. They want to eat simple carbs like pasta, whatever. They want to drink alcohol, go out. That is what happens. And then once they're finished with their 4 weeks to 6 weeks of having fun and being out of season, then when they get back, that's why every single team has preseason camp. Preseason is all about getting back into shape. That's all what preseason is. They get back into shape, and then they stay again in the peak shape of their lives, and then it's like it's a vicious circle. That's what happens. And even if I might add, do you know how many players really get out of fucking shape and they have a multi-million-dollar contract. I'm not talking about a guy who has a 9 to 5 and then, you know what, for 6 months he was in a really good shape and then he quit the gym for like 2-3 months because, you know what, job was getting hard, more job to do, more things to do at home with his kids, with his wife, whatever. He just didn't have the time to go to the gym. I'm talking about a guy whose whole life from 18 years old to, let's say, 38 is being in the best shape of his life to be the best soccer player that he possibly can. That is what his life is. And even they get out of shape. Neymar Jr., as much as I fucking love him, when it came to being in shape, when it came to being a professional, he was really unprofessional. Yes, he's highly talented. He remains one of the best players to ever play the game. Yes, that is a fact. But still, he was making hundreds of millions of dollars with, let's say, contracts and advertisements and whatever, just to play soccer, right? And even he, during those 1 month or 2 months, even he would get out of shape because for 10 months out of a year, he was constantly running, he can't eat what he wants, this and that. For those 4 to 6 weeks, he's like, fuck it, I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't have that same dedication as he does. And that is a fact. I just want to have fun. I want to go party with my friends, drink alcohol, eat whatever I want, eat pizza, eat cake, eat cookies, eat this, eat that. So even they get out of shape. But then, of course, I mean, logically, what they have to do is get back into shape so they play to their best capabilities. And even then, so many players, they remain not fat because they are professional soccer players, but they don't get to the best shapes that he can because, hey, they don't feel like having the same diet as Ronaldo and having the same routine as Cristiano Ronaldo, because it's really fucking hard and it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of willpower. So even they get out of shape and they're getting paid millions of dollars. So if you only have your regular 9 to 5, sure, if you want to be in the best shape of your life, go for it. But of course, it does take a lot of dedication, willpower. You have to go to the gym, watch what you eat, calculate your calories, intake, how many calories you put in your body, how many calories you burn, your macronutrients, because it's not only about calories, it's also about the nutrients that you eat. If you're someone who says, oh, I only eat 800 calories a day, and those 800 calories, it's like one muffin and one cookie, and the other guy ate 2,000 calories, but it's chicken, broccoli, rice, and salmon and eggs, well, he's going to be in a way better shape than you because, yes, you ate less calories, but he ate better food and better nutrients, which will then fuel his body to have a better muscles, less fat, and everything else that goes with having a better body. So, talking about all of that, let me get back to not taking crystal meth to be in the best shape of your fucking life. Because yes, maybe crystal meth, maybe for a short period of time, it will cut your appetite and you won't eat shit and you'll be really fucking lean. Maybe that is true for what, 1 year, 2 years? And then what's going to happen after that? Let's say you start at 18, right? Around 17, 18, that's when, when the boys become men. That is when they want to be in the best shape of their lives. You reach like your you reach like your adult body, adult muscles, so you want to be in the best shape of your lives. So let's say you start taking crystal meth at 18, and then what, at 20, you're already a fucking drug addict and a junkie and you can't function and you're already overdosing. Broski, you still have 60 years to live, give or take. Let's say an average people live to 80 here in North America. So you still have 60 years to live. What's going to happen with those 60 years, right? What, you're going to die at 25 because you wanted to have 6-7 years of you being lean. And like I said, you can be even leaner by being natural and not taking crystal meth, but just having a strict regimen and following it, being disciplined and whatever. That is also really fucking possible. And not only is it possible, but it's really, really fucking healthy for you, not just physically, but mentally. And by you doing that, for the rest of your life, you'll implement a routine that you will keep for the rest of your life, which is 100% healthy and natural routine, which is healthy for your brain, for your mind, and for your body, right? Going to the gym, being natural, not taking PEDs, especially not taking fucking crystal meth or whatever else anabolic drugs that someone like Clavicular takes to maximize his looks. Eating healthy, being natural, being active, either running, swimming, lifting weights, doing push-ups, calisthenics, whatever it may be, being healthy, doing fitness, and then eating healthy. That is a recipe where there's only pros and there's literally no cons. There's no cons to eating healthy and moving fit and not taking any PEDs or roids or fucking crystal meth or any other drug which will in a way help you maximize your looks. Being healthy, natural, moving, that is a recipe where you'll keep that routine for the rest of your life. You'll be healthy for the rest of your life up here and in your body. You're going to be healthy. And like I said, it's 100% pros and there's no cons to doing all of those natural stuff and not taking any roids or crystal meth or whatever. So again, like I said, that's crazy, right? And then of course, also how I talked about it with ADC, the bone smashing thing he preaches, right? That's really fucking crazy too. Like, think about it. And it's also proven that it doesn't work. It's not true. That when you take something, like what he does is he takes a hammer and then he hits his face with it. And the point behind it is you hit your face. I couldn't believe, but he explained it on Piers Morgan's podcast, well, show, whatever. He hits his face so that that bone grows stronger. And so when it grows stronger, I mean, it grows like a bigger bone and it's like more defined, right? It gets a more defined look. First of all, it's not true. Guys, please don't do it. Again, like I told ADC, I always thought like, okay, yeah, he's going to say that, but who's actually going to do it? Like, who's actually going to do it? But then when I went to the nightclub in Montreal and then I saw two young guys, they didn't even have they didn't even have facial hair on their face. So they were like probably 18 or 19 at the most because they got into the club. When I saw them, when I saw someone punching him in the face, I was like, damn, okay, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I didn't say anything. I don't really give a fuck. It's his life. But then I said to myself, I'm like, okay, so some guys are really going to do it, are really going to believe in it. It's not true. It doesn't work. It's been proven by many plastic surgeons and many doctors that the only thing you can do is create nerve damage. That's what happens. When you think about it logically, like let's say some boxers, right? Let's say you take a boxer, right? He's been hit in the face many times through sparring, getting knocked out, having fights, whatever. His face, it can swell up. He can break his nose. He can break something. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily good for your body. Maybe the bone, maybe like, you know, I heard like when you break a bone in a way, it grows stronger. Maybe that is true. Maybe it actually is true. But the aesthetic behind it isn't true. That's what I'm saying. Breaking, let's say you break your two cheekbones, you won't grow back having model cheekbones. That's not what's going to happen. Maybe that bone will grow back stronger, but also what can come with it is nerve damage, right? When you see some boxers who got punched in the face many times, they can have nerve damage because it's not healthy getting punched in the face as multiple times as you fucking can. It's not healthy, like it or not. So yes, the bone in a way can grow stronger, but you cannot go from, let's say, not having model-like sharp cheekbones and then you fucking keep punching it in the face like a boxer and then it will grow back beautiful. Maybe it will grow back stronger, but it won't mean that it will grow back more aesthetically pleasing than someone who's just naturally born with better genetics for that certain specific aspect. So that's what's fucking crazy. Him doing that is fucking crazy. And then also him doing Botox. I mean, I don't know if it's unhealthy doing Botox, but I heard that what happens is when you put Botox in your face, that in a way it like freezes up your face. So meaning people who put, let's say people who put Botox in their forehead, they can't do this because it like freezes up this and you can't, you become stuck. Your muscles can go up and down just like I can right now. That's what happens. But the thing that also happens is once that Botox dissolves or once you take it off, because your muscles weren't naturally moving like they should for, let's say, years, when you take it off, it becomes even more saggy and even worse looking than what it would have been if you never would have touched your face with Botox or fillers or whatever else. So that's why I've always been against fillers and Botox. But if someone feels better doing it, I mean, who am I to judge, right? It's your body, it's your face. You can do whatever you want with your face. But if I speak from my point of view, I would never do it. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with growing old, right? I mean, if you're 80 years old, isn't it normal for you to look 80, right? I mean, of course, some people have more baby faces or whatever, but isn't it like normal? I'm older, I'm 60 years old, so in a way it's normal that I don't have the same skin texture or the same face that I had when I was 20. I mean, yeah, like that's fucking natural. It's normal. You're 80 years old, you're not 20 years old anymore, or you're 60, you're not 30 anymore. It's fucking normal. So I mean, that's just life, right? I mean, let's say my physical shape now and my fitness levels now, of course, for a 25-year-old, it's not the same as someone who's 75, right? I'm 25 years old. My muscle mass is going to be different. I'm going to be in better shape. My organs are going to be healthier. I'm going to produce more testosterone not because I'm more gifted, but simply because I'm 25 years old. Now, of course, there are certain cases of someone naturally having more muscle mass, more testosterone, whatever. But at the end of the day, father time is a real thing. You cannot escape it. Mike Tyson, you cannot be more of an animal physically than Mike Tyson was, right? Now he's like close to 60, maybe he's even 60. We saw him fight against Jake Paul. Now people are saying fake or not fake. That's a different fucking question. That's a different topic. But he wasn't in the same shape that he was when he was 25, 30, when he was at the top of the world, when he was the greatest heavyweight in the world as a boxer, right? He's not in the same shape. Why? Because he's not 25, he's not 28, he's not 30 anymore, which is fucking normal. Father time is a real thing. We cannot escape it. And then also, this is my personal opinion. You can have a different opinion, but a girl who puts Botox or who puts fillers or whatever else you can put in your face, we can tell. And at least I can tell. I don't know if some people can tell. I can tell immediately. When a girl has fake lips, I can tell immediately. When a girl has put Botox in, let's say, her cheeks or wherever else you can put it, from what I saw, I can always tell. And from what I saw from my friends, they can also always tell. And from my personal experience, natural girls are always way more beautiful and way more physically appealing to me than girls who have a lot of Botox or who like put fillers. Now, I will agree that maybe when it comes to nose jobs, since that's not like plastic, right? It's like just breaking a cartilage or whatever it is. That's a bit different. But I'm talking about plastic surgery. So injecting yourself with Botox or fillers. I always find girls who are naturally beautiful way more appealing and way more physically attractive than girls who have lip fillers or just fillers in general or Botox. So that's also something where I disagree with the Looksmaxxing community when they go to the extremes. That is also something else that I disagree. So going to crazy extents, doing crazy things to being lean, like taking drugs like crystal meth and any other PED or roids, that is something I'm against. And I think that in the long run, at the end of the day, there's way more cons and pros. Bone smashing, hitting your face with a fucking hammer or hitting your face, I don't know what else. I'm also against that. Doing bone surgery, they also talked about doing bone surgery. So you can do like a surgery. I think it's mostly for the jaw because I don't know if you can do it. They didn't talk about any other place in your... I mean, you can also do it. I know someone who did like a surgery where you can be taller, and how it works is there's like a bone in your tibia. They cut it and then they put like a metal rod and they extend it. And what happens is your bone will naturally grow and which will then make you taller, right? That is also a surgery that people can do. I mean, I cannot talk. I mean, I'm 6'2", so I never really thought about it. But maybe someone, I can understand a guy who's born like 5'2", like, right? I mean, no guy wants to be short. And like, there's a difference between being 5'7" short and being 5'2" short. That's a bit like really short. So I would understand a guy who's 5'2" doing that surgery so he becomes like 5'7", 5'8", like, more like average height. I mean, there is some logic to it, but again, at the end of the day, it's a really fucked up surgery. Like when you do that surgery, you can't walk for like 1 year or 2 years. And of course, understandable, like you fucking break a bone in your fucking tibia and then you put like a metal rod whilst your bones are growing back together. So that is also what makes the bone longer. And when one bone is longer, at the end of the day, you're taller, right? So that's crazy. So of course, it's a really crazy surgery. But let's say someone suffers with really, really bad self-confidence because of his height, because he's like 5'2". then like, fuck it, I would understand. Like, that would make sense. But in the podcast of Clavicular with Jack Neal, he said that he wants to do it because he wants to go from 6'2" to like 6'6". Now, that is where I think it's really fucking crazy. You're already 6'2", way above average, and you want to go from 6'2" to 6'6". And his reasoning was because when you're 6'6", it's even more like physically like, holy fuck, look, he's 6'6", which is true. I mean, I'm 6'2". No one is ever like, oh my God, look at this fucking giraffe. I mean, they're like, yeah, he's tall, but no, I'm not like NBA player tall. I'm not like crazy tall, right? And people who are 6'6", like, you can tell, holy fucking shit. Whenever I see someone who's taller than me, I'm surprised. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, he must be really tall. Because if he's taller than me, that means he's at least like 6'4", 6'5", which is really fucking tall. So, of course, there's more of like, oh shit, look at him. Which, yes. But to undergo all of that procedure, 1 or 2 years where you can't walk, do all of that just to go from 6'2" to 6'6". And then I also heard when you do that surgery, you can't run the same as you did before. I mean, understandable. You won't have the same mobility, the same physical mobility as someone who never did a procedure but is the same height as you after the procedure, because he's naturally that height and you're not naturally that height. So, I mean, again, for that, if you're that height, if you're already average or above average, there's way more cons than pros. Of course, if you're 5'2", like I said, and you suffer with a lot of lack of self-confidence and you got bullied when you were young, and because of your height, you don't go in social events, you don't approach girls, you don't, let's say, put yourself out there in the world, then maybe there is more pros and cons. But even then, someone could argue that maybe you should work more on other aspects of your life, like becoming educated, making money, finding your passion, pursuing your dreams, finding a business, being an entrepreneur, or whatever, right? There's also that aspect where some psychologists would say, you know what, maybe you are 5'2", because I know some guys who are really short and they don't give a fuck. They just don't give a fuck. I mean, you can tell in their personality. Yes, probably if someone was to ask them, would you like to be naturally taller? He'll probably say yes. But at the same time, it's like, hey, that's life. You cannot have everything. No one has everything. So that it is what it is. That's life, right? But like I said, someone who's 5'2", going from 5'2" to average, maybe then there's more pros and cons. It's also up for debate, but maybe then there's more pros and cons. But going from, let's say, 6 to 6'1", you're going to undergo a surgery of that crazy level of surgery just to reach 1 inch more. That's really fucking crazy. Or like something like that. That is where I feel like that is going to the extremes for something which is really fucking crazy. So there's that. Like I said, bone smashing. Like I said, there's also Clavicular talked on the podcast where he wants to do jaw advancement. So it's like this crazy surgery where a doctor, a surgeon, whatever, breaks your jaw up and down and brings it more forward. That's really fucking crazy, because if you look at the guy, he clearly doesn't need it, right? He has a normal jaw. It's not like some people who are born with, let's say, like a forward jaw or a backwards jaw, and they need it because it's not for aesthetic purposes. I mean, in a way, aesthetic purposes is the aftermath of them doing that surgery, but because the dentist literally tells them your bite is off, so you need advancement or you need to bring back your jaw. You know, some people have like an underbite or overbite. They need it because the dentist tells them, yo, like you need it, right? That's different. But just because, like, for whatever in your mind, you feel like, oh, you know what? My dentist, like, purely physical, purely health reasons, my jaw is okay. But because in my mind, I have like these standards of beauty, so I want it even more to be front or backwards, for you to undergo a surgery where they fucking literally break your jaw or whatever. And I also think like that's fucking crazy. That's ludicrous. I feel like it's not worth it. There's way more cons than pros regarding that. So crazy dieting, extreme. Bone smashing, extreme. Height, like I described, it can be extreme. What else did he talk about a lot? It's mostly that. So that is what I against the Looksmaxxing community. And also, I mean, being too attached on your looks and being too focused on only your physical looks, it's crazy. Especially if you're a guy, right? Girls, I can understand a bit more, because a girl who is a 10 out of 10, she will benefit way more out of life from certain things than a guy who is a 10 out of 10, right? A guy who's 10 out of 10, if I'm being honest, people aren't really going to give a fuck. I mean, yes, we're no one's blind. We're going to see, oh, that's a really good looking guy. Even girls are going to say that's a really good looking guy. Guys, even they can admit it. But at the end of the day, it's not the same as a girl who is a 10 out of 10. Because a girl who is a 10 out of 10, she'll get DMs from famous celebrities, from rich guys, from really high social status people. And then because of that, she'll maybe end up in a yacht. She'll have a really easy life. And she will have pretty privilege. Of course, even guys, because the Looksmaxxing community is mostly oriented for guys. Of course, even them, they will benefit from it, from pretty privilege. But not as much as a girl who's really fucking attractive. It's not the same. It's not the same. So that is why I feel like it is important, mostly for a girl, because a girl who's 10 out of 10, she can have a really beautiful life through OnlyFans and whatever else. There's also that. But not as much as for a guy, if I'm being honest. Not as much. And also their personality is way more important than looks. Look at all these people who accomplished crazy things. They weren't necessarily good looking. They just had good personality, good social skills. They're really intelligent, really knowledgeable. So physical looks are important, but personality is way more important than physical looks. Even when it comes to getting a beautiful girl, even then personality is way more important than physical looks. Yes, we guys, we care a lot about how a woman physically looks. We care a lot. That's probably every guy's number one. And then like, okay, so if you find a girl physically attractive, you will approach her, you'll try to get her. And then, of course, is she a good person? How is her personality? Is she kind? Is she loving? Is she respectful? All of that comes into play when you're looking to find your wife or a girlfriend. But for a girl, physical looks isn't number one. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but from what I heard and from what I saw, girls care way more about personality than they do about looks in a guy. Way more about personality and way more about you being a good man, being competent, being driven. There's way more aspects of what's important in a guy that a girl seeks in a guy for her to be in a relationship with a guy than physical looks. Of course, physical looks plays a part, of course, but it's not number one. And there's many other aspects in a guy that matter before physical looks for a girl. So there's also that, but also in general in life. Let's say look at all these guys who accomplish great things and the guys who control, not that they control the world, but they make the world go forward and they innovate the world. It's people who are creative. Elon Musk, right? The reason he's the richest guy on earth, the reason why he's so innovative and he's so creative and he progresses the world so much and he innovates the world and life so much, it's not because of his looks, but it's because of how much of a genius he is, because of his level of education, because of his knowledge, because of his brain power. That is why. If you look at Donald Trump, hate him or love him, he is a highly influential person, probably the most powerful man on planet Earth. And the reason that he is who he is currently isn't because of his looks, it's because he's highly competent. He really wants it. He was really determined to get what he wants. He worked really hard and he had all these other characteristics which has nothing to do with looks. He had all these other strengths which has completely nothing to do with looks. The list goes on, right? Look at Vladimir Putin, look at Xi Jinping, look at Jeff Bezos, look at who else, like from the top of my hand, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. If you look at all the richest people on planet Earth, Warren Buffett, it's not because of his looks that he's so rich and so powerful, but it's because of who he is as a human being, his personality, his intelligence, his competency, his hard work, his willpower, everything else, right? So that's why looks does play a part, but it's not number one on Earth and on planet Earth, right? There's way many other things that matter a lot. Now, the thing that I do agree with that community and what, in a way, clavicular and that community preach. I feel like, in my opinion, clavicular preaches mostly about physical looks. I mean, I think he's a bit too much into it, in my opinion. But from what I also saw, that community, they preach a lot about personal development. And that is what I'm all for. I am all for you becoming the best version of yourself. It may be from physical looks, from education, from competency, from being smart, from being determined, from having strong willpower, from being having discipline, all of that. I'm all for it. If when that community preaches about becoming the best version of yourself, making the most money that you can, succeeding as much as you can, reaching all your goals, becoming the best version of yourself in general, then I'm all for it, right? Reading more books, being more educated, being healthier, being in better shape physically and mentally, having better relationships with your friends, with your family members, and having a good wife, having healthy kids, being a good dad, being a good husband, all of that, then I am all for it. I'm all for personal development. I'm all for that aspect of that community. I'm all for it. That is something good. Preaching that you should be the best version of yourself and that you only have one life and that you should face your fears, reach for the highest goals, try to succeed as much as you can, reach for the stars, try to innovate, be creative, take risks, not be fearful, approach whoever you want to approach, trying to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. Whatever your heart desires to accomplish, you go after it. So in a way that everything I just enumerated, it all translates to you becoming the best version of yourself. That aspect that the community preaches about, that they talk about, I am all for it because that is something that is good. So I feel like there's something that I disagree with, all the craziness to be the best looking as you can, but all of this everything else, which is personal development, which is being the best version of yourself, I agree with it, and it's actually really fucking beautiful. And I feel like every single human being, I feel like the goal of life, the point of life, yes, is to be happy and to be joyful. That is one aspect of it, and it's really fucking important. But the point of life, the goal of life for every single human being is to reach their full destiny. And the only way you can reach your full destiny is by becoming the best version of yourself. And to become the best version of yourself, it's a mix of being highly disciplined, facing all of your fears, not being lazy, not committing any of the 7 deadly sins, which, if I might add, vanity is one of those 7 deadly sins. Vanity, which is caring too much about how you look, caring too much about your social status, caring too much about all the things that are, that are superficial. That is vanity, and that is a 7 deadly sin. That is a deadly sin. So that's why the aspect of the Looksmaxxing community that I disagree with, it all has to do with vanity and extreme vanity and being extremely vain, because it is a deadly sin. So that's why I am against it. As a Christian, as a religious person, I will always be against the 7 deadly sins. But if I might add, gluttony is also a deadly sin, which is something that has nothing to do with personal development and becoming the best version of yourself. Vanity is also one. So that's why everything that I disagree with the clavicular, with the Looksmaxxing community, has to do with being too vain and having too much vanity, because it is a deadly sin. And at the end of the day, it will destroy you more than it will improve you and make you a better person. It will simply end up destroying you. And like I said, there's way more cons than pros when you're too extremely vain. So that is why I'm against it. Like I said, in order for you to become the best version of yourself, you must be highly disciplined, work really hard, have high level of self-discipline, face all your fears, and do whatever has to get done. Deep down, we all know what has to get done, right? We all know what we have to do. And that is the only way you can become the best version of yourself, which will then translate to you reaching your full potential and reaching your full destiny. That is, in my opinion, what is the point of life. And of course, you have happiness, having good relationships, having kids. Having kids is really fucking important, and it plays a big part in you becoming the best version of yourself and you reaching your full destiny. In order for you to have a fulfilled life, you must have kids, because those are the future generations and they will succeed you. They will. So that's why it's really important, in my opinion. Like I said, being disciplined, hard work, all of that, it's all good. But at the end of the day, like one of those 3 maxims from ancient Greeks, there's know yourself, surety brings ruin, and nothing to excess. Nothing to excess is a maxim from the ancient Greeks, which they developed, and they found out that is one of the most important sayings. Why? It's because in order for you to have a happy life, in order for you to be content with your life, to be joyful, to have peace of mind, to have a clear mind, happy thoughts, and to feel good inside, and to have a pure and beautiful soul, in order for you to have all of that, you must have a balanced lifestyle. Like I said, everything that they do in the extreme from the Looksmaxxing community, I'm against it because it's not balanced. Having a strict diet is really good, but you need balance also. Having a mix of strict and balanced diet is the best because yes, you'll eat really healthy, but broski, at the end of the day, you do only have one life. So you're telling me you're never going to eat that beautiful cake. You're never going to go out with your friends and get drunk, get wasted, have fun. You're never going to do it. You have to do it because you only have one life. And yes, alcohol is bad for you, but the social aspect of drinking alcohol, the social settings in which people drink alcohol is really fucking healthy for you. You're going to make more friends. You're going to talk with more girls, get better relationships, get in a relationship with a girl. You're not going to be an incel, which is something that is a big part of the Looksmaxxing community. A lot of people who are part of the Looksmaxxing community, they are incels. I'm not saying Clavicular is. He's not, because he became really famous and really, really popular and he has a lot of money. So now, of course, he's going to get a lot of girls. But people who are part of that community and who don't have the same level of success as he does, they're going to be incels, right? So that's why they get attached too much to looks, because they feel like they need to improve their looks in order to get a girl, right? Which isn't the case, like I said, which is not the case, because girls, yes, they do care about physical looks in a guy, but they care way more about other things than physical looks, like personality, being kind, being driven, being competent, being smart, being funny, all of these other things which have nothing to do with looks. So like I said, you only have one life, and going out drinking alcohol, it's not only cons. Like I talked with Luca once, there's many pros. You're going to meet people, meet girls, get in relationships, meet friends. And like it or not, all human beings, and I literally mean all human beings. I don't care if you're an introvert. I don't care if you have social anxiety. I don't care if you're shy. At the end of the day, we're all social creatures, which is something that is born inside of us, that is wired inside of us. We're all social creatures, so we all seek social settings, we all seek social events, and we all seek social validation, which is normal. There's a healthy amount of social validation that a human being has to seek, and there's a unhealthy level of social validation that some people seek. If your identity is based on what other people think, on what society thinks, that's really fucking bad. If you're capable of knowing who you are and not giving a fuck what other people think, that's good, because you're not going to give a fuck what other people are going to think about you. So you're always going to be authentic. You're always going to be your true self. And by you being completely authentic with yourself and with the world, and by you being completely who you are, being truthful to yourself and being 100% who you are out in public, what will happen also is you'll attract people who are similar to you and which you will bond well, and you will have good friendships with them, because you didn't fake a personality, you didn't fake a persona, so you didn't attract people by you being fake. You're true to yourself, you remain true, you remain who you are, you remain 100% authentic, so you're going to attract people who are 100% authentic to you and who feel like they are the best versions for you, and which then will translate to you having the best relationships possible and having the best friends possible, having the best wife possible, having the best girlfriend possible, and everything else. So that's why it's important being authentic and being yourself. But to get back, to have a happy lifestyle, to have a successful life, like I said, success isn't all about money, fame. It's having peace of mind and being happy with yourself and having good and positive thoughts and feeling good inside of yourself. That is what success is. And the only way you can have that is by having a balanced lifestyle. That is the only way, and that is why it's so important. Like I said, what is the point of having money, status, looks, fame, all of that, if at the same time you have negative thoughts and you have suicidal thoughts? What is the point of having all of that if every single time you go to bed, you have negative thoughts, and every single time you wake up, you feel like killing yourself because you don't want to go on with the day? But yes, you do have money, you do have fame, you do have success, you do have status. What is the point? No, of course, I'm not saying it's bad to have these things. It's really good. If you can have money, success, status, fame, and then plus have peace of mind and be really happy with your life and be really content and have a lot of joy, then that's like the perfect fucking life, right? Of course. What I'm saying is, what's the point of having all these superficial things like money, fame, status, and good looks if you wake up depressed and if you go to sleep with negative thoughts, with depression, and you feel like killing yourself? What is the point of having all of that if you're going to have suicidal thoughts, right? what is the point? There's no point, right? Like, think about it logically. Who's the winner? The guy who has fame, status, money, good looks, but every single morning when he wakes up, he doesn't want to go on with the day. He wants to kill himself. He has suicidal thoughts and he doesn't feel good. He has negative thoughts. Or the guy who doesn't have money, doesn't have fame, doesn't have any crazy social status, isn't that good looking, but every single morning he wakes up with a smile and he can't wait to go out in the world, talk to his friends, go to work, and just live life. He can't wait. And every single night that he goes to sleep, he can't wait to wake up in the morning because he can't wait to go out in the world and live life. Who won? This person won way more and has a way better life than this other person, right? Think about it logically. If you have everything, which is superficial, but you feel like killing yourself and you have negative thoughts, and every single time you go to sleep, you don't feel like waking up the next morning because you're sick and tired of your life and you don't want to live anymore, you didn't win in life. Yes, maybe you have a lot of money. You may even be a billionaire. Yes, you have a lot of fame. You can maybe even be Michael Jackson level fame. Yes, maybe you have a lot of social status. Maybe you have fucking Elon Musk social status. Yes, you can be really fucking good looking. You can even be fucking DiCaprio good looking. But if every single night when you go to sleep, you feel like not waking up the following morning because you hate your life, and you're not content, you're not happy, and you don't feel like living life, you lost. You lost in life. You're not in a good place and you're not winning. You're not a winner. You're not winning in life. And this other person, like I said, has nothing, has no money, nothing superficial, has no money, has no social status, has no fame, isn't really good looking, average looks, maybe even below average. But every single night when he goes to sleep, he goes excited because he can't wait for the following morning for him to simply go and live life. He can't wait to live life because he's so full of life and he's so joyful and he has such happiness to live life. This person is winning. He's a winner. You can call him broke. He doesn't care. You can call him ugly. He doesn't care. You can call him no one gives a fuck about you. You can say he has no friends. But if every single day he wakes up with a good attitude, he's winning. Life is all about being happy and waking up with attitude, waking up with a good attitude and wanting to live life. That's what life is all about. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to die. And when you die, you can have all the fame in the world, all the social status. No one's going to give a fuck about you anymore. You can have all the money in the world. That money won't join you in the grave. You can have all the looks in the world, all the physical looks. You will die. So what matters is how you felt with your time in this world. That is what matters the most. The quality of time that you had whilst living your life, whilst being alive in this world, that is the thing that matters the most. This guy, he'll die just as much as this guy will die. And at the end of the day, the only thing that mattered to both of them is in the period of time that you were alive, how were your days and how did you feel? Were you happy? Were you happy to live life? Were you joyful? How did you feel? How did your life go by? Time goes by really fast. Life goes by really quickly. How did you live your life? Were you really happy? Were you content? Were you joyful? Were you always full of life and full of love and you were always so happy and excited to be alive? If that is the case, if that is the answer, you fucking won in life and you're a winner. You're a winner out of life, man. It's as simple as that in my opinion. And also, if I might add, the only way that man can conquer the world is by conquering himself. It's as simple as that. So that's why you shouldn't give a fuck what other people think. You shouldn't care if you're capable of motivating other people, if you're capable of influencing. You shouldn't care if you have power over other people, because the only truly way that you can conquer the world and conquer your life is by conquering yourself. And what that means is conquering your thoughts. Conquering yourself literally means conquering your thoughts. Michael Jackson conquered the music industry and the music world. He didn't conquer himself, and that's why he couldn't sleep at night, because his mind was racing. He wasn't capable of conquering his thoughts, of conquering himself. He wasn't capable. Elon Musk went into clinical depression 2 or 3 times. He conquered the business world. He conquered literally the world with all of the money that he has. He conquered the money world, right? He did. He didn't conquer himself. So he didn't conquer the world. He didn't conquer his thoughts, so he didn't conquer himself. Jeff Bezos conquered the business world, but he also conquered himself. So that's why he has way more peace of mind and he has way more joy out of life than Elon Musk, is because, yes, they both conquered the business world, but the difference between both of them is Jeff Bezos conquered himself by conquering his thoughts. That is the only thing that matters, and that is how you conquer the world. The only way man can conquer the world is by conquering himself. That is the only way. Okay, let's see what other topics I had to talk about. So like I said, you have to be attached to nothing and connected to everything. When you're attached to nothing, but you're connected to everything, then you have no fear. You're fearless. Why? Because you're not attached to anything. So for you to lose something or for you to gain something that is different, you don't care because you're not attached to anything, but you're simply connected to everything, and you're connected to all possibilities, and you're connected to all the possibilities that the world and that life can present to you. It may be different, it may be something that scares you because it's different, but if you're attached to nothing and you're connected to everything, you'll accept everything, and you won't have any fear regarding you losing something or you gaining something or you having a different path in life or you having a different lifestyle than what you expected to have. And whatever outcomes can happen in your life, you're not going to be afraid. You're not going to be fearful because you're not attached to anything. You're simply connected to everything. Talk about the 7 deadly sins, personal growth. Every human personal growth is something good. And okay, let me end it with this. So this episode, I talked a lot about the cons and the pros of what the Looksmaxxing community entails, right? Going to extreme lengths, which is really unhealthy for your mind and your body to reach something, is bad, right? But you having self-development, you wanting to become the best version of yourself is really fucking good. Personal growth is really good as long as it's real personal growth, right? We all know what real personal growth looks like. We all know what it is, right? You cannot go from being a guy who never drinks alcohol and then you're like, you know what? I really developed myself. I become a better person. I became an alcoholic, right? I mean, like we all know what personal growth and self-development looks like. And the reason why it's a good thing, and the reason that we know why it's a good thing, is ever since humans exist, ever since life exists, ever since human beings exist, personal growth and self-development has always been something that humans preached and talked about. Ancient Greeks, 2,000 years before Jesus Christ was born, they preached about it. Roman Empire, 500 years before Jesus Christ was born, and then 500 years after he was born, they preached about it. In the 1300s, we preached about it. 200 years ago, we preached about it. In the 1900s, we preached about it. And now in 2026, we still preach about you becoming the best version of yourself and you developing as much as you can in order for you to become the best version of yourself and reaching your full destiny. So that was it, guys, for this episode. Peace out.